Hello, and welcome to this extra podcast. Why extra? Well, today, August 9th, 2022, is my 50th birthday. I know you're listening and whatever you're doing, you're saying to yourself, but what did he say? 50? No, surely it can't be true. Well, it is. And under the circumstances, I've done reasonably well. Although you will be able to find out more about me a little later on this year. More to say about that later this month, perhaps. I've been very lucky in getting opportunities to talk to many top stunt professionals from all over the world over the last 10 years since the YouTube channel started, and over the last 4 years since I started podcasting. I thought, unlike conventional birthdays where the guest provides for the birthday boy, I would reverse the tables and give you a gift instead. A compilation of some interview clips lasting just over 50 minutes. Couldn't get it round to 50, unfortunately. I did try, but from top guests, 5 of them in total. We start with a man who, apart from being a professional racing driver, he's also one of the go-to guys in the US when it comes to stunt driving. I start by asking him about the early incident in the family runabout. This is Tanner Faust. When you were 18, I believe, you did have a little bit of a mishap with the family car. The kind of
search is so good, yes.
You know, you had a bit of an issue there, and this would have given you a sort of literally a crash course in gravity, as far as that's concerned. Did that shine a light on thinking, you know, just how lucky you were in that case? Because obviously, there's no cage in this. I mean, this is an actual physical accident you've had. Do you remember much about it?
Oh yeah, I remember it like it was last week, and it was, it was a brown Honda Civic wagon.
Okay.
Or state? Did you say state car? Yeah.
Yeah, state. Yeah.
There were some roads in Northern Virginia that were just awesome. They're kind of like tunnels through the trees, and you could jump the cars a bit. And
Is that
I ended up jumping. Yeah, I jumped one road, and the road ended up turning on the other side of the jump. So we went off the road and rolled 7 times back over front.
Oh.
So I still have never done that again. Even crashing for a living, I still have never done a back front tumble like that. But to do it without belts and to walk out of all that stuff, yeah. And now I definitely know enough now to realize how lucky we were. But yeah, that was a good lesson in inertia. I'm going to knock on wood. I haven't really even had a crash that big since, but you don't have respect for momentum and inertia until you really feel how far it can send you into the danger zone.
Just to clarify, because I just want to picture this in my mind's eye. This is not like the equivalent of going just rolling. This is end over end over end. So it's the hood over the trunk, and again at 7 times is the way you went.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly, and it was in this briar bush. Okay, so this is Virginia, lush vegetation and thorn bushes. So it was actually fairly soft at the very end, but a friend of mine, Mike Daniels, he climbs over my lap to get out because his door is sealed shut.
Yep.
It was a cold night, so he had on a down jacket, and I just remember saying, okay, hold on, calm down a sec, Mike, hold on. He climbs over me. He goes running out through the thorn bushes to get back to the street, and his jacket is shedding feathers everywhere. So he looked like this chicken running through bushes with feathers flying off his back, running in circles in shock. I mean, it was a pretty surreal scene for sure.
Now, even of course, take into consideration that you've totaled the Honda. Having said that, you've walked away, the pair of you. You've probably got more injuries from that bush than you did from the accident itself. I would imagine that a very serious complimentary letter went into Honda going, all right, I've ruined one of your vehicles, but boys, you really know your engineering. That was seriously well done.
I was optimistic 18-year-old, so I even fired it back up and tried to drive out of it. And it ran. But
did it turn over?
Yeah, it ran. It ran there, but it was just high-centered in the bushes. It couldn't go anywhere.
Wow.
And So I ended up getting a Honda CRX. After that, I stuck with Honda for a while. So that was my payback.
After that roll in the Honda, end over end. Can you believe it? Now, let's talk to a stunt woman who comes from a remarkable family. Kachina Deckard is the daughter of top-flight musicians Greg Deckard, who played guitar with everyone from Bad Company and Uriah Heep to David Gilmour. Her mum is Jody Lynn Scott, who is one of the world's greatest percussionists. She's played with The Who, Tom Jones, who gets a mention a bit later on, and Elton John, to name but a few. So, how does a girl from a musical family manage to get working in films, riding motorbikes and driving cars? Well, as she tells us here, probably by accident.
Let's go back to maybe that pre-stumbling into the work thing. So if you look at your biography from an outsider's point of view, they look at it the fact that obviously you've had this background with your parents, and then there's a sort of shift into speed and motorcycles. Where did that come from? Was that something that you were doing at weekends, or was it something that you were doing as a hobby, or how did that start, that passion for the motorcycle?
Well, funny story again. I totally stumbled into that as well.
Right.
I had a friend of mine used to race motorcycles on the racetrack, obviously. And one day he asked me if I wanted to come with him, and I was like, "Yeah, that's wicked. Yeah, of course I want to go." And I was like, "I can't wait to watch you." And he was like, I'll never forget the way he looked at me. I was a total idiot. And he was like, "No, you asked to race with me. I want you to come race with me."
Right.
And I was like, "Well, shit, I've never ridden a bike before." And, this was only about 8 or 9 years ago. Okay. And I'd never ridden a bike before. And he looked at me again like I was an ass. And he said, "Well, go get your license." And it was so obvious. I was like, "Oh, you're right. Okay." So I went down 4 days later and got my motorcycle license, which in America is very, very easy.
I was going to say 4 days, yeah.
Yeah, well, I walked in and walked out in about 15 minutes. Wow. And then I had my bike license. And so the first time I ever rode a bike was on the racetrack, which actually I would highly recommend anyone to learn on a racetrack, because it's the safest place to be, and it's with a bunch of professionals, and you don't learn all the negative, bad crap. You start at the top and you learn everything in a very safe environment. Anyways, So my first day on the track was amazing, and my fourth day on the track, I was dragging knee around corners, which is kind of ridiculous. But I just took to it really quickly, and I loved it so much, and that's kind of where that came from. So thanks to my friend.
I was going to say, thanks to him, is where you are now. The idea, I mean, again, you have to put yourself in a different situation. The idea that you were here in London, if you were to do that, it's physically impossible. Surely you wouldn't have been able to do it. Yeah, I mean, that's just goes back to that being in the right place at the right time, I guess. I just happened to be where I was. I was actually in New Hampshire, in America. Okay. And maybe they're just a little bit more chillax over there, which, lucky for me, that's just happened to be where I was in that moment of time, So by day one, there you are going around a racetrack. And that's an interesting point, actually. And he was nodding. He's a motorcyclist, you see, so he was nodding there. Yeah, when you were saying, look, if you're going to learn, do it on a racetrack. That's a very interesting point.
Yeah, totally.
You're not surrounded by people who can't drive cars, can't walk properly, can't do anything. You're surrounded by people who are professional.
Right. I just, it's a great place to learn anything on the track. I'm just, for me personally, I'm so glad that was my first day on a bike. And it was cool. It looked ridiculous. I mean, I rolled up there with a 1995 Triumph Trophy 1200, and never having ridden a bike ever in my life, and I'm 115 pounds.
Now, I was going to say, for he's laughing here because apparently that's one of the biggest. I'm not a bike man, so I don't know, but apparently that's one of the biggest bikes you can ride. 1200 horsepower.
Yeah, 90. It was a beautiful bike, a 95. I love those Triumph Trophies, but it was the first bike I ever sat on.
He turns up a 1200cc motorcycle. Wow. Okay. He was just putting the maths together there. So I drive a 1.8 as a vehicle, as a car, and you've turned up with a 1.2. Okay, that's it's unbelievable that you would be able to do it. Of course, but invaluable to you.
Well, the beautiful thing about never doing anything before is that you have like a kind of a really nice naiveness about it, and you don't know all the wrong things that could go wrong, which is good and bad. But I was clearly very confident. I just knew I could do it. So I just got, he told me to get on the bike. So I did. And we had a great day.
So this, of course, obviously a natural ability, clearly from what you're saying. You've got on the bike and it's been, it's been like walking for you. It's relatively simple. Have you had any experience with that type of balance before? I'm trying to put something in my head here with reference to maybe horses or something where you've been able to understand poise and balance. And did that ever happen?
Yeah. I grew up in London riding horses. I played polo and, I was always balancing off different various objects and climbing crazy things and all that kind of stuff. So there is some backstory, but I don't know. Yeah.
So certainly, as far as that natural ability is concerned, that there was something there. You played polo before. You were familiar with horses and balance and that sort of stuff. So that's obviously where that came from. And therefore, obviously, motorcycles then presumably became a fairly big part of your life. I'm guessing once you'd been bitten by the bug.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I was at the track all the time, and it was great. We'd spend weekends there and sleep on the track and just race all day long, have a bottle of scotch at night, and then wake up in the morning and do it all over again. Yeah,
it's a standard diet. There, we'll just finish this bottle of scotch and then we'll go back and drive again. That's what we'll do. So, probably food was taken at some point as well. I'm just getting some sort of balance here so we can soak all of that up.
Next is a man who is a shining light in the world of action and stunts unlimited. Chances are, if you've seen a movie over the last 10 years, Chris O'Hara has been part of it. It's like a box office hit parade. Baby Driver, Red Sparrow, Venom, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Free Guy, and now Bullet Train. I start by asking him about the Bourne Supremacy and about how much of the action with the actor was done for real.
I read recently that Bourne Supremacy had changed the way that action was shot. Now, I wondered if you would agree with that, because certainly I know from the director's point of view, he was very keen on doing something different. You were obviously in there from early on. What was your understanding of his requirements from the action department? Dan just wanted to be in it. He wanted you to be in the car chase. He wanted to feel it. He wanted to he created this energy that, he did a lot of handheld cameras. He was, on insert cars with handheld cameras. He was in the car with you driving. It just kind of gave you this kind of very frenetic kind of vibe and visceral feel when you were in these car chases. And it was something that hadn't really been done before. Maybe it had been done before, but it hadn't been so in such a mainstream movie. I mean, I can't look at, I look back at any references in film of things that kind of had that same kind of vibe, but it was just, it was the right time for everything to align. Sure. It was a great character. It was a great story. It was a great script. It was something fresh. It was something new. It was the new Bond. Yeah. So it had all these eyes on it, and then had this great car chase that just was something new, and they just kind of built on it. It was great to be part of it. And it's one of those, and then also, with the car chase aspect of it, they also did the fight aspect of it. There was a style of fighting in the Bourne movies that set a whole new genre. I mean, when we I feel very fortunate to be part of a couple movies out there that kind of people referenced for years and years and years. They knew that I was part of the Matrix. So they go, we want the Matrix style action. Right. Okay, that's great. I was part of that. We can do that. And then it was the Bourne. Oh, we want the Bourne kind of action, which again was super satisfying to know
for a while there. I was part of 2 movies that every movie wanted to copy.
Yeah.
They wanted that whole thing.
It's that phrase, isn't it? It's when the director says, right, this is what I'm looking for. You know, this movie, I want that, only better. And then you have to go, oh, hang on, that was really very good. You know, how much more have I got to do to create that? But those, I mean, there's been car chase sequences left, right and centre, but not like that, because it was done in a certain way. And the fights, you know, having a fight with a magazine, for instance, instead of a prop, you know, some other prop.
Super clever, just outside the box thinking.
How much do you think the edit added or took away from the film, though?
Don't say
3 minutes.
The 12-minute fight was cut down.
I think the edit kind of, I think it helped it. I think it's just, you know, when you do the whole car chase, you're in it, but when you see all the pieces with first unit, and that was one thing that Dan did really, really well, was that he put the actors into the mix. We at that point were using the Go-Mobile, and we were really putting the actors into the action, which I think definitely helps. You know, you don't see just a cutaway to a green screen. You know, you saw them driving through, you know, the actual environment, which was something that was really, really cool and didn't take you out of it.
There is a moment in that where Matt Damon is in the car and is broadsided by another vehicle, and then it spins around the road. Now, obviously the edit cuts from it arriving in the shot, and then boom, then it cuts to him. But it looked so real. I mean, was it done on a sort of on a gimbal, or was it how was it done?
So that was kind of, you have to get a plate, right? So you have to do a plate shot to get Matt into the situation. And so I was the one for the big wide shot, got broadsided by the car.
Right.
And then we did the same thing with a camera car, or no, like a trailer with a camera on that put the camera right into the line of fire. You put a crash housing around it. That's how we were using. We had bumpers on a trailer so that the actual truck could hit it.
Okay.
And so it doesn't have to happen at full speed, but you get that vision. So when you're in the green screen environment over Matt Damon, you see a truck coming right to the car. Yeah. And so at that point, then you do have it on kind of, I don't know if we had a turntable at that point, but we definitely had it hooked up to a ratchet that kind of gave that input to the car, that whipped it around, that kind of gave the action that would actually happen, or that did happen in the wide shot with Matt Damon. And you throw some rubber glass in there, and it's pretty seamless. And that was something that Dan Bradley had done early on a movie called Adaptation.
Right.
It was, and so I think Spike Jonze had directed it, and I know that Dan Bradley had worked with Spike Jonze a bunch, and so he had done that shot on Adaptation, and so it was one that people, again, one of those shots that people talked about for a very long time, and so again, that was another one that goes, we want the car hit from Born Supremacy, or we want the car hit from an Adaptation. And so being around it and seeing how it was done, it was just another one of those moments in cinema that has now been recreated numerous times since.
It also helps that I think it was an interview with Graham Norton that Matt Damon has wrecked a fair few cars in his time, so he is familiar with what happens when you get impacted by another car, and he did sell it terribly well, I must admit. You know, that you put everything together and you're in the middle of an actual car crash, and there's no two ways about it. It was great stuff.
Next is a stuntman who sadly left us in August of last year. Arsha Agadasi was from Iran and was capable of just about everything. His passion for the movie business and the stunts he and his team performed couldn't be contained. As you'll hear in this clip, myself and my co-host Blake Spawn don't say too much. We let Arsha speak as he's bursting to tell us all about his life in stunts. I open by asking him about his stunt group Stunt 13 and about stunt women in Iran.
So let's look then at Stunt 13, which is obviously the concept that you're referring to, and the company that you founded. You've mentioned there with reference to women and the business. Of course, one of the major women there is Marsha Ahmadi, who of course went on to come over here to the States. And so it was you, Marsha, and Amir.
Yeah, they are my students.
Right.
But Amir came after 2 years, which is I had 2 years my own institute. Then I accept him, and because I saw these guys, they are doing parkour in the park, and I just don't like these guys doing parkour outside. I mean outdoor without any crash mat. And I invite them to come to my club because I have a crash mat and everything. And I said it's the best place for you guys doing parkour because I don't want to see any people get damaged. As the stunts, we're always looking for safety, which is I learned from Peyman.
Right.
To you always responsible of the safety of the people. This is the main job of the stunts.
Certainly.
That's why it goes on my mind, and I'm a very good student, and because I grew up when I was 4 years old, I grew up with the martial arts, with the obey your teachers, always respect, and this is the way I grew up. That's why I obey the way even Peyman told me. Then I had 25 students, and the two names that you mentioned, these guys are just two of them.
Right.
But I love them too much because after 4 years, Amir looks like one of my brother. That's why you see their names too much.
Yeah.
And I found Mahsa as my girlfriend after 4 years. And she works for me. Amir has worked for me. And we had a great time together. And I teach everything which is I learned. And I try to make them position and which is we never had. I can make an example. When me and Peyman went to the set, I can say they teasing us, they joke us, and they don't respect us at all. And even the catering give us the good respect. I can say that.
I was going to say you must never annoy anybody on catering because it'll end up they'll poison your food if you're paying.
I mean, Stunts is not the unknown. Stunts was really unknown on that moment. But Peyman, with me and the crew, we fight too much to get the position, get the respect.
Right.
And when we lost him, I fight more because I see my great teacher died and he put his life for his beliefs.
Yes.
So that was my duty to continue the road he started. And I have to finish it the way he liked to. But right now, when I go to the set, the director come from the monitor and come say hi to me and all of my crew to show their respect because I respect them a lot. I respect every people on the set, and I have a very, very good energy filled between all of us. I can say when Gary Paul will come to the set and the first day, because we've been doing rehearsal almost 2 weeks, something like this.
Well, let's touch on that for a moment because, of course, you're referring to Skyfall, and this was in Turkey, where you were filming this. There's a number of sequences. You're involved in the markets sequence and also in the motorbike sequence. I particularly enjoy the moment where Lee Morrison comes crashing through the window and you're all sat around the table right underneath it.
Yeah, Lee Morrison and Robbie Madison. Man, that man is unbelievable, amazing. Robbie Madison, he's really rock.
Can you put into some sort of words for us try and understand it from your point of view, that you've seen these movies, you've seen the action and all the excitement that goes on, and you've done the action concept, and you've followed this mentor of yours to suddenly get an opportunity to work on a Bond movie, which is a very big job, and not only a Bond movie, but this Bond movie, which was hugely successful. Give us an idea of that.
I always say here in my country, I was so lucky, unbelievable lucky. But I made my luck always.
Sure.
I fight for my luck. I'm living in a country which is we have no opportunity to show yourself. It's a very restrict country, and it's really hard to shine But I always say, if they just put you in, if you just make you on the limits too much, your potential gets high too much. I mean, you fight inside of yourself to shine because you want to show yourself. And I was working one Turkish movie,
right,
and I jumped with the car above the truck. And it's a funny story because when I prepare my pipe ramp, when I prepare the truck in front of the pipe ramp and everything, I hear everybody's whispering in the Turkey language, which is I hear something and I don't feel positive energy. I feel negative energy, unfortunately, on that moment.
Right.
I believe it, and I just always get this signal from the outside because I learn from the signals from the outside. Because as I told you, I have not a chance to learn a lot from the payment because we lost them too much. That's why I try to learn many things by my experience, unfortunately. For example, my first tumbling of the car, as I told you, I just saw in the movies, and I try to make the way of my roll cage inside the car, which is I'm still doing my own roll cage always.
You're designing and creating your own roll cages for the car.
Yes.
Right.
And when I want to do that Turkish movie, I see the whispering, and I said, "Okay, what's wrong? Is there something wrong here?" And my friend said, "No, everything's okay." But I said, "No, I don't see anything's okay. I don't feel good something here." And said, "Okay, these guys say you cannot jump." I said, "I mean, I have not authorized to jump because I'm Iranian." No, it's not about authorized. You cannot because you cannot. You're not able.
Oh.
I'm not able to jump, so why they are invite me? Why they are paying me for this?
Yeah, exactly.
And I said, "Okay, who said that?" I said, "No, don't make a fight." I said, "Man, I don't want to make a fight. I just want to ask him why, because maybe he sees something which is I don't see, or because it's Turkey, maybe they know something about this field or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they have some knowledge." I said, "No, because there are too many." I said, "Okay, how many?" I said, "Too many." I said, "Okay, 5, 4, 6, how many?" I said, "All of them." Man, all
Everybody?
of them say I'm not able to jump.
Were they taking bets to see whether you were going to make it or not?
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
And I said, and I go top of the car because we have a roll cage and you can't go on the top and nothing happened. And I get the
megaphone.
What you call this? Yeah, big megaphone. Said, "Okay, I know you said I'm not able to jump, and I want to make a bet."
I want some of this action. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody talked. I said, "Okay, I said this car will jump 35 meters." Said, and in the Turkish language, olmaz means impossible. And everyone said, olmaz. And I said, "Who said that?" And some guy said, "Maximum you can jump 8 meters." I said, 8 meters?
8
Man,
meters?
the length of the car is 5 meters. I cannot even jump the 2 times length of my car. So you say 8 meters, so maximum 10 meters. I said, "Okay, make a bet." And when I said, "Okay, start a bet," they're coming. I said, "Definitely my car will jump 35 meters." And the maximum number they gave me is 20 meters. I said, "Okay, if it's more than 20 meters, I win. If less than 20 meters, you win." But I said, definitely 35. So I will say minimum then 30 meters, you win.
Right.
And then everybody gets happy because 30 meters is a number which is they said it's impossible.
They assume that they're going to get some money from this because you're not going to be able to do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just one man make a bet on me, which is the man who helped me to hammer down my ramps to the ground.
Right.
Because he worked to the hammer, smash the pin to the ground.
Yes.
That's why he feels so feel friendly, more friendly with us.
Confidence, yeah.
Yeah. The old man, and he just come and whisper to my ear, "Man, just make it on 20 meters, okay? To take a win. Don't say 30. I said, "Trust me, you win."
What speed was this at?
80.
80 miles an hour.
Not miles.
Oh, kilometers. 40 miles an hour.
Yeah. And but my style, when I want to exactly on the moment touch the ramp, but depends on the scene definitely, I just push the gas to kick him.
Yes.
To more power, more energy to initiate pretty well. Because when you have a kicker on your ramp, a kicker gets your speed lower. That's why for equalize my speed, as I keep steady on 80, but on the last moment I push the gas up to push the gas. And I always put the wheels on the opposite side to make a barrel roll. But in this situation, I cannot do the barrel roll in the air because I asked the truck because they asked me to jump through the truck stuff. But the truck they bring it for me, the length of the cargo is not too high, and the length of the difference, the bottom of the truck,
the trailer,
it's like it's too high, which is I'm totally afraid. Before I jump high, I touch to the iron part, which is. It's very bad pressure. That's why I said I don't go on the barrel. I go in the middle of my car on the pipe ramp, so it looks like a ramp for jumping. So they didn't let your car to the barrel in the air. So I did my jump. As soon as it came out from the car, I just said, bring the meters. I just meters, and it's exactly 35 meters. Oh, man, they just, as all movies, they come to hugs you, and they're all happy. And I said, okay, it's a time to take bags out. And too many cigarettes coming. I said, man, no chocolate, no money. So no, we make a bet on cigarettes. Fuck, I don't smoke cigarette. Why no chocolate?
You couldn't fund your next gag then?
Nothing. The director was so happy and he said, okay, please don't put picture anything on any social media on something. And when in the road, when I went back to my hotel, I see in Facebook, they put a picture of my jump. I said, who put this picture? The director said, no one put this picture. And I just want to make a call. I said, the director profile. And I just called him, you said don't put any pictures, but you put the picture exactly right now. He said, yes, because I see this is not a sacred type of sacred moment of my movie, so you can't put it. And I said, okay, would you please type the meters, because for me this is very important. So yes, of course. And I put it and I share that, share his picture, and in the road I see Gary Powell liked my picture. Like my picture.
Have you got the video? Have you still got the video of this?
Yeah, I have.
20.
And I said, so definitely it's a fake profile of him, because it's not interesting for him, the car jump of the truck. He see billion sequences and shots like this. And after 3 weeks, I received an email, and they said, we are going to shoot the next James Bond movie in Istanbul and Adana, and we see your job and we're interested to you come and involve, but you need to send me back an email. And I said, okay, this is a very fake email, but it's so funny. I answered. I said a very nice joke. And after 2 weeks after this email, I sit and watching TV, and my sister is beside me, and my phone is ringing, and someone with a very British accent speaks, okay, we are going to shoot the next James Bond movie in Adana. I said, okay, where is Adana? I said, it's in Turkey. Oh, I said, okay. So you answered our email, and I just want to confirm you have to be there on that date on 2 p.m. And I said, okay, I will be there. And hang up. And my sister said, what's going on? I said, that's joking. Someone called me and said, come to the James Bond movie. Imagine. It's not possible. And my sister said, maybe it's right. I said, come on, James Bond movie. I'm not even the spark on it. I'm nothing. Billions great stunt women, stunt men are there, and no chance, definitely no chance. And I said, I thought maybe my friends from Turkey, because I had even bungee jumping in Turkey. Yes. I made a bungee jumping in Turkey, and I had a big problem with the mafia and bungee jumping in Turkey, because they treat me, you have to go back to your country, we don't let you to make a bungee. I said, man, I come here to make a bungee, and I earn money from the bungee and go back home. And which is I did. And I thought, okay, these are my friends. They want to invite me to Turkey again with a joke, because they know I love stunts. They know when they said anything is about stunts, I put all of my life, my time, my everything's on it. So they want to bring me in Turkey again and make a joke with me. That's why I said, okay, it's a good reason. Say James Bond. Of course, it's not James Bond. 1 week before the date, I just suddenly feel something in my stomach. I said, maybe it's right. Maybe it's a real story. Or maybe it's a Turkey James Bond, not real James Bond. Because some Bollywood movies always copy the movies. I said, maybe it's a Turkey cinema movie wants to make a James Bond movie for themselves and they call it James Bond. I said, okay, I go. I take tickets and go there. And Adana airport is very small. And when we go out, just 40 people was in the airport. Nothing more. So with your eyes, you can easily see anyone comes to you to look after you or not. So everyone goes out, nothing in the airport. I just standing in an empty airport and said, okay, definitely was a joke. No one even come to us. And I just saw that just by chance, I had the number who calls me, and I just called him back and said, okay, I'm in the airport and nobody comes. I said, your plane got a 2 hours delayed. Wow, she knows that. She said, okay, go out, find the boss. It's called B25. I said, B25. What is B25? It's the line of the boss. What is a B? It's not even the name of the movie. The James Bond is the James Bond. It's the 007 or something. What's B25? I never guessed it means the Bond 25.
Number 25.
Yeah, I never guessed that, because it's not even 1%. I just told myself it's a real story. Then I knocked the door, and the man, very big fat man, is sleeping like this. And he opened the door. He didn't even say hi to us. And I just sit in the bus and said, okay, maybe he stole us. But that was adventure. It was a nice story. Let's go. Let us stole us. We go somewhere and have an adventure. We were we arrived to the very big place. I saw 6 Land Rover, gray one. I saw the bikes rider jumping. I saw the cars drifting. It looks like paradise. I just looked everywhere. Oh man, this is paradise. Oh, what is it? And I saw some man's passing with the ID card in the chest, and I tried to see the name, and I didn't see nothing because he passed so fast. And he come and said, okay, you are late, and you need to take an exam, and if you accept, you go on this way. If you fail, you go that way. I look at that way, I see 2 bosses with the many people which is they are failed. I said, oh, it's the exam. Okay, let's do it. And I said, okay, what we started? I said, with the driving. Pick the car and let's start the driving. I see many cars is parked. And I just see, okay, some of them is a BMW, which is, I'm totally sure it's for a movie. So they definitely not give a chance to me to ride this BMW. And I said, okay, I take the cab, taxi cab. Because I just thought maybe in the movie there was some chasing for the cab and they want to do something and I want to be smart and I picked good shoes and I just picked the cab and go inside with the manual shift and I tried the handbrake, which is it's work or not, and someone come and sit in my back and he said, okay, start driving, and he have a paper and a pen in his hand. I put my mirror on him, which is I can see him easily, and he started speaking with me. I thought, okay, maybe it's the exam of the language because he talked too much with me. Maybe he wants to know, can I drive and talk? Which is in my country, they drive, talk, eat, texting, everything, and driving. In my country, in the street, everyone doing the same. And I just keep driving, and he said, okay, make a U-turn. As soon as I make a U-turn, I was in the second shift. Uh-huh. I see him, because I put my mirror on him, I see him from this side. He just jumped on that side with the head to the mirror. And I said, okay, if you want, your taxi driver can drive slowly. He said, yes, slow. I want to go airport, and I'm not in rush, so drive very slowly. I said, okay. And I drive slowly. And he said, okay, your passenger got a hurry, and he wants to take the plane, and it's going to be late, so you can't go faster. The story goes like this. I go faster. I do handbrake. I do everything. I do drifting. And he didn't even move in my back. I said, he joking with me. In my first U-turn, he just threw himself on that side. But right now, I put my feet on the dashboard, which is when I'm doing this, don't move my body. Uh-huh. And he can ride and he doesn't move. what's going on? And when I came out and he said, okay, nice, that's it, and go on that way. Suddenly some guys with a very nice smile comes to me. His name is Pete Miles. Pete Miles come and say, come, and he came and say hi and said, welcome guys, and do you know who's taking an exam with you? I said, no. He said, it's Ben Collins. And I said, uh-huh. And he said, you know Ben Collins. In my mind, I didn't know that. I said, I want to say, suddenly in 1 second, I just make a guess. I said, okay, if I say yes, maybe he wants to say something about him, which is I don't know. If I say no, and he will say, who's that someone he don't know, Ben Collins. I was in a bad situation on that moment. I mean, two head is loose. And I just tried to say, Ben Collins said, you don't know? I said, oh man, he asked again. I cannot tell lie. And if I say truth, it's very bad. It's shameful. I don't know him. And I said, no. He said, did you know Top Gear? I said, of course I know Top Gear. Did you know a stick? I said, yes. He's a stick. I said, man, he's a stick. Can I take a picture with him? Please, please. I just ran inside of the cabin, which is he started to chat with his friend. I just go on my knees and said, I love you. I love you. You are my legend. Because
Stig
I know
worship.
Yeah, because I know in that one show from the Top Gear, they want to come to Iran, but because it was a BBC show, they don't let them to come.
No, that's
I just always said, oh man, I'm sorry because they don't let you guys come to the Iran because of the BBC show. I'm so sorry about it. I said, no man, come on, it's nothing. And stand up, please, stand up. It's not good. You're on your knees. Come on, stand up. And it just stand up. I hugged him. I said, man, I hugged Stig. I hugged Ben Collins. Man, that was so cool. I was so happy on that moment. Then our journey was a start. I can say every 2 days when I back to hotel, I keep crying because I saw Bob Hollanton, I saw all the stunts. Andy Lister, that was the first movie of Andy Lister on that moment. He was doubling of the Bond. And he's a very nice guy. And I saw all of them in the pack, in the one place. I see all of them, which is I follow them. I try to learn from his movies, their movies in the social medias. And I had a chance now to ask them. I had a chance to speak with them.
Yes, of course.
For me, it's very valuable, you know, because for the people who has no chance, for the people who has no opportunity, when they see the opportunity, it's very important. And I'm very honest. I'm not a person that said, okay, it's not good to ask, but I go to ask. You know, I ask a lot from D Sharp, and he gave me the chance on the last rigging day in the train, which is the Bond gets shot and fall down from the train. Yeah. He gave me the chance to rigging. And I know it's very important because he just worked with his own crew, just with 3 guys. And he trusts me because I worked 75 days. During the 75 days, he focused on me. Right. He kept looking on me. I remember on the day they had a scene which is Bond gets with the bike, crashed the fence, and he jumped to the train. Yes. And because we were in the Turkish crew, in our ID card they type it TK Stunts. It means Turkish Stunts. Right. Because the production of the Turkey make a contract with us, and we are not authorized to get so close to these guys. And I respect that laws, but I love to go close to these guys because I love them. And I see in the moment, for example, when they want to do the rigging, I need that carabiner, which is a little far. I just hardly go and bring that carabiner and make it closer, and I just escape. And because I know it, I'm not authorized to touch it, but I cannot control myself. You know, I love this job. I love it deep of my side. I really cannot. And when again they want something, I go fast and bring it and put it closer to them. Yes. And I just escape again. And 40 days after that, some problems happened in the set, and these come and speak to me and said, "Man, I'm stunt coordinator." I said, "Of course I know that. I saw you when you bring some stuff and bring it to closer. I see everything. I see your passion. I see your heart." And when someone talk like this to me, I start crying like a kid.
Well, it obviously makes a huge difference to you based on your love of the whole job, to be in a situation on a movie like that where you can be used to the best of your ability.
Well, I'm sure that those who knew him will agree that it was great hearing his voice again, and we'd like to dedicate this episode to his memory. So, how do you follow that? Well, you go to a man who is everyone's hero. Arsha was very aware of this stuntman. I imagine if you threw a stick, you'd hit half a dozen stunties who were definitely directly influenced by him. When Blake and myself started the Stunt Pod, we had a wish list, a list of guests that we'd like to have on. Top of the list was Terry Leonard, primarily because we never thought for a moment we'd get him on. But we did. And he was amazing, and everything you'd expect. Here, he tells us about being in Hollywood at the start of his career. He'd been doing extra work and had to give up his football career due to an injury.
Ultimately, through that period, of course, and then working slightly further beyond, it wasn't that long that you managed to get Man Called Horse, because you were playing a character role in that as well, weren't you?
Right. I played Striking Bear, the Indian, and I tried to get a friend of mine, Buzz Henry, to play the part, and they said, no, you're going to play the part. Anyway, make a long story short about how I ended up with that movie, that was the first picture I ever coordinated.
Yeah.
And back in the day, there weren't a lot of coordinators. You'd get your job through the first AD, the second AD, wardrobe would recommend you. You'd be requested by an actor, by the director, a myriad of people other than what we know now as stunt coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get on a movie now unless you go through the stunt coordinator.
Yes,
they got power sometimes greater than the directors when it comes to picking the stunt personnel for a film.
Right.
But back then, there were a few coordinators. Hal Needham was the first breakthrough big timer of coordination. And on a picture, a director would pick out a certain guy that would help him, but he was not known as a stunt coordinator.
Uh-huh.
So, interestingly enough, I was over in Spain doubling Jim Brown, the black football player, on a movie called, with Raquel Welch, a movie called 100 Rifles.
Right.
And I being white, there weren't really any black cowboys in the business back then that they would take to Spain. So they took me, and they blacked me down and curled my hair, which is something you cannot do today.
No.
But back then, they were a lot more liberal because there weren't a lot of black guys that were known as stuntmen. Not only that, but just not cowboys, per se. So they took me over there, and there was a group of reporters coming from South Africa to interview Jim Brown as to what he was doing to help black actors in the business and whatever. So he said to Joe Bim, the production manager, I can't have Terry doubling me.
Right.
And Fox Studios had budgeted for two guys. They budgeted Stan Barrett to double Burt Reynolds, which he never came over, and Donna Garrett to double Raquel, and myself to double Jim Brown. Well, Donna Garrett came over. I went over. Barrett didn't come over.
Right.
So they didn't have the budget to keep me and bring another stunt guy. So Joe Bim came to me and he said, I got to let you go. And back then I didn't hardly go to bed. There was a lot of stuff to do at night when they all rap, that's part of the rest.
So they're the stories I'm interested in, Terry.
That's a whole other career.
Different stories.
Yeah, but they're the stories I'm interested in, Terry. So we're going to get to that later. Okay?
When they yell rap and they shut the harps off, that's when I came alive. But anyway, I was, because we were in Almeria, and we stayed at the Grand Hotel, which was right on the crossroads there at the Mediterranean.
Right.
Either go left or right to go to different spots in Spain. And the hotel at night, we had a band in there, and we'd come in from work, and my goodness gracious, it was just a wonderful place to be, and it was going to break my heart to leave that. But I was going to go to Madrid. The same producer was doing a film in Madrid. So they kept me on salary for 5 weeks. I toured Spain and all over, went to France and England and all over. Keep checking with the studio in Madrid. Of course, we didn't have cell phones back then. You had to go to your payphone and all that to find out when that high fall was going to be taking place. So I got to tour Europe for a little more than a month, went back to Spain, Madrid, and did the high fall and came home. Now, here's another spot in your career where tragedy at the time revealed to be something that was worthwhile.
Right.
Had I not been fired, I'd have still stayed in Spain and continued on as an MD stuntman.
Uh-huh.
I was fired, and the timing was right. I got off the airplane in L.A., and for some reason I said, I need to call my answering service, which was Teddy's. Back then, everybody, if you were a stunt guy, you were listed with Teddy's.
Right.
If you weren't with Teddy's, you couldn't really be considered a stuntman.
Okay.
So I called Teddy's, and they said, Terry, you got to get a hold of Dave Salvin immediately. They want you over at CBS Studio Center. They want to interview you for a movie to coordinate, as a stunt coordinator.
Uh-huh.
So I had at that time, the taxi took me to, I didn't even go home. I've been in Europe for 3 months. I hadn't even gone home yet.
Right.
I went straight to CBS Studio Center and met with the people who were doing The Man Called Horse and ended up as the stunt coordinator on that movie. 400 head of horses. You can't believe. Everybody said, what is Leonard doing coordinating that movie? Now, you talk about guys angry at me.
Yeah.
Boy, and some of my dearest friends today, I heard through the grapevine what they had said about me. And, of course, I've forgotten all of that. Didn't matter to me later on. But there was a lot of guys that were just saying, what is that dummy doing? He don't know anything. And they were right.
Yeah.
They were absolutely right. I mean, what business did I have in taking over the job on A Man Called Horse as a coordinator when all these big timers had been passed by?
Sure.
So, and that was a blessing in disguise there, because I met Yakima Canuck. He was directing the second unit on that movie. And I followed him around like a puppy dog. And I said, you know what? I've been in the business just long enough to know that if I continued doing the stunts I was doing, that my career would be over. And the lesson I learned in Canada about getting hurt, I realized I was not invincible, which I thought I was at one time in my life. And I realized I wasn't. So I followed Yakima around. I had dinner with him every night. He told me so many things. And I said, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be an actor. That doesn't interest me whatsoever. But I want to get in the Directors Guild.
Right. And
continue, hopefully, my career when I become too beat up to do what I'm doing now. And lo and behold, that's what happened. I mean, I've had 7 major hip replacements and a lot of stuff that's happened to me that would keep me from being an athlete anymore. But I made a living for so many years, along with doing stunts back in the day when you could be the director of the second unit. And I just pick off the biggest money stunts and do them. And I'm the boss. I'll do the. And to make a long story short, I ended up being a director, and I'm still doing it. So, and I'm almost 80, and it served me well. So those lessons, if you take time to realize and look through and be patient, sometimes tragedy will lead you down another path that if you hopefully you're smart enough to realize what's happening and where you're going.
There you go. That's it. Hopefully you will have enjoyed my birthday as much as I have, and with any luck, I'll have finished the day off by drinking sake in my favourite Chinese restaurant. Keep checking out the social media for all the latest and new stuff, and don't forget there is another podcast coming on Wednesday. You really are being spoiled, aren't you? Until then, bye for now.